so you still have a plastic tube attached.
We have to buy it unless we can come up with it. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. Equally. So this also carries this similar or probably a higher rate.
Exactly, and like you said, the advantage of it in home-based. The visiting and local based clinicians, members of the diplomatic corps, actually we have patients and carers here, Ministry of Health colleagues, NGO partners, donors, invited guests, media partners, Ms. Mbula Vinaka, and a very good morning to you all. Yes, indeed, it's a very good morning, Amrish. And I think you said it well through the opening song. There's always a time to do something. And I think this is the right time for us to serve our people better when it comes to nephrology services. And I must thank you. Thank you for having me here this morning. I was just part of the FMA final day conference. And I did mention to them about the dialysis and cities and stuff. When I joined the government in 2014, I hadn't heard about dialysis and I hadn't heard about you basically. I hadn't heard about nephrology. It was not coming out. All I knew was there was a kidney foundation center in Suva and what they were charging and stuff. I was not interested in that at all. But when I joined government service, I realized that these are important things. And in Ministry of Women, I was talking about domestic violence. Everywhere I used to go, I used to talk about domestic violence. I just used to talk about domestic violence because I was very passionate about it. And that led to the establishment of the toll-free line, and we did a lot of things to bring it to the forefront. And I think matters like this needs to be brought to the forefront. So when I joined Ministry of Health September 2016, I had very little knowledge about how the health system works. And one of the first communications on my table was from a patient who was concerned about the charges, the hidden charges of dialysis and the amount that was being charged for dialysis by private service providers. And I made up my mind, actually I made a statement then, that we're going to look into this without knowing what I was actually getting into. So I did get a few criticisms, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about and how is she going to bring the prices down and stuff. And then I heard about Amrish. And then me and Naiji were talking about how we have only one nephrologist in Fiji. And Amrish could have decided to leave Fiji and move abroad and make more money there. But I thank you, Amrish. I thank you and your family for not making that move and staying back in the country. And that's what we mean when we want to serve our people. We really want to serve our people. Like I said, I've traveled across the country and I've met up with people. I've seen how they live, the hardships. And one of the things was, how do we bring dialysis costs down? How do we bring it down? So I must also thank the Minister for Economy, who is also very passionate about this. And in Parliament, there was a lot of public pressure on making it free, but we stood our ground. There are reasons for us to stand our grounds. And I think the moment you open up, the moment you say it's going to be free, you and I can understand what's going to happen. We are on a preventative mode. The NCDs are plaguing Fiji and the Pacific, and our stand is to make sure that people prevent it. Obviously, there are a number of people who need the service, so we must provide them with the service. We celebrated Constitution Day in Lambasa yesterday, and there were three winners from the north for our essay competition as to what the Constitution does for them. And all of them had health in them, access to health, affordable health care, available health care. And while I was sitting there, actually I was clapping when they were saying it. Everyone was looking at me, why is she clapping? I was so happy that they were the secondary school students. Somebody must have wrote the essay for them, but they know. So the health is now at the forefront of everything, and I realized that. So we started talking about this publicly. I started talking to my doctors, my peers. How do you do that? So the first year we were not able to secure a budget for subsidizing, but we were able to secure our budget to set up the National Kidney Research Center, and that's how we started talking to Dr. Amrish. And then there was plans to get Dr. Amrish back into the public health system, and I'm so glad that he's back. Yeah. I know he's going to lose out a lot, Amrish, but I'm sure the prayers of the Fijian people will bless you with all that you need. Yeah. And I thank you for that. And I thank you and your colleagues, your international partners for being with you, for supporting you. And for those who are here this morning, I'm sure you have some very fruitful discussions, and which will probably pave new directions for the future of nephrology in Fiji. But I mean, I mentioned this to the Fiji Medical Association. For how long are we going to say that in Fiji we only have one nephrologist? Or how long are we going to say in Fiji we have only one neurosurgeon? So it's time. Actually, we are very serious as a government to ensure that we invest in training opportunities for our existing clinicians, so that come next 10, 12 years, we can proudly say, yes, this is investing in our people, and this is how, this is Fijian made. Yeah? And then you can come and serve, of course, making life much easier. And we'll look to talking more about that, identifying those who can actually be put across for more training. And probably that is going to create that new interest among the younger generations. At the moment, they don't see a career path. So if you become a nephrologist, what do? Yeah? What is it here in Fiji? Other than travel abroad and make more money. So those are the reforms we are looking into the health system, so that we sort of are not dependent on overseas specialists coming in. Over the last 30, 40 years, overseas teams have been coming and providing that service to our people. Of course, we have charged with little cost to the government. And then we end up sending our patients abroad, which again costs us a lot of money. So these are some of the reforms we are looking within government and the Ministry of Health to ensure that in the next 2 decades we have our own people trained as specialists to serve. So, and coming to that, I think, if I don't thank the others, they'll be very mad at me. So I'd also like to thank all those who have participated in the 2-day symposium. I believe there's a diverse representation of members here, nurses, doctors, dietitians, students, administrators, and there were attendance of patients and parents as well. I think that's very nice. Special thanks to all our specialists and our keynote speakers who travel abroad. I'm told at their own expense to share their wealth of knowledge. And thank you very much. Special gratitude to Professor Robert Walker, all the way from University of Colorado. Dr. Williams, Head of Nephrology, Taranaki, and I believe Dr. Amrish was trained by him. So thank you very much. Dr. Ellen from Gold Coast University, very instrumental in setting up our peritoneal dialysis program. Mr. Frederick, who assisted with the development of dialysis units in Fiji through the technical support. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to thank all those who have put together this fourth annual symposium, and since it started in 2015. And forums, conferences like this, networking like this, ladies and gentlemen, basically promotes the multi-sectorial collaboration approach that we look at. There's so much to share, and there's so much to learn from each other's knowledge and experience, and see what best practices we can have here incorporate within our health system. Kidney, like I said, kidney health, kidney dialysis, we talk about end-stage renal kidney disease. It's enough to make anybody cry. The helplessness that you see when you talk to families, the fact that there's so much money involved in that, and the fact that you see your loved one dying because you either don't have the money or it's too late. So awareness, advocacy, more educational programs about this is very important. And that's where we at the Ministry of Health, we sort of are targeting children, targeting people at the grassroots level. I think children are the best way to target this. Our generation is gone, I believe. It's just gone. Look at how people smoke, they drink, dependence on medicine. We spend so much money from our annual budget just buying these NCD counter medicines, and it's increasing by the year. So targeting children, getting them to eat the right food, getting them to become aware of what dialysis is. I met up with Travovo Amrish, right? I met up with the family of this 10, 11-year-old boy, and it's actually heart-wrenching because sometimes the parents don't even know what's wrong. We have resistance from competent donors to donate the kidney. Because the myth is still there, you can't survive on one kidney. Okay? When in fact, we know people survive on one kidney. But you can't force a relative or a compatible donor to donate his or her kidney. So these are the challenges we are facing. So one is the finance issue. Now with services available, how many of them would be able to afford it? So that's where the government subsidy comes in. And again, I'm very thankful for the Minister of Economy. There were a lot of pressures for us, like I said, to give it free, give it free. I said, no, let's hold our ground. So this year's budget is actually, I think it's fulfilled Amrish's dream and my dream as well. At least we will be able to do a bit more for our people, bringing the cost down. Again, not compromising the quality. That's very important for me. People said, oh, at one time you were saying consumables were so expensive, so how are you bringing it down? We will make sure that the quality of the consumables are not compromised when we offer our services. So we had a budget of about 3.5 million. And of course, I'm sure this allocation will assist a lot of families. Recently, we lost one of our own staff in Singapore. She was on dialysis and she passed away sad. So young people are now being forced to have access to dialysis services, and then unfortunately some of them don't make it, and that leaves a burden on the spouses and the husbands. And these are young people we are looking at, young families we are looking at. And like we've already said, about 80% of deaths in Fiji is attributed to NCDs. So now we need more data. Actually, we are in the process of accumulating more data. There's a lot of NGOs that work. We have Diabetes Fiji, we have Fred Holders, everybody works for this. So we're trying to put them under one roof to see if we can have one data, one solid data. Okay? So that's where our PETI system is now being looked into. So how we capture this data. It's very important for us to know. We can't say 80% of people die because of NCDs. We need some real data, and we're working to that. Okay, this percentage of people between 0 to 12, or 1 to 12, or the young people, the elderly people, and that's how we will have to align our services. The need for dialysis is a reality for the Pacific. The need for dialysis is a reality for our Fijian people, and I think this is the best way forward. So I've been told that the National Kidney Research and Treatment Center, which is undergoing fit-out, will become Fiji's first public system of chronic dialysis service, and depending on the household income, patients will be able to access treatment from as low as $75. You need to be below the 70,000. That's where we're starting in Suva, in Nandera, and then we'll move on to Nandi. And of course, there's one already led by the Board of Visitors at Lambasa Hospital. Again, subsidized in a way that our doctors and nurses provide the services there, and I'm sure people will be able to access this subsidy there as well. So that's a first for Fiji, I think, and that calls for us to celebrate this achievement. On one side, we can celebrate. On the other side, we need to be sad about the fact that we have brought it upon ourselves, and we need to ensure people understand this is not lifelong. It's not going to give you a lifelong thing. It may prolong your life. So what can give you a productive and healthy life is living and leading a healthy lifestyle. So that is our focus as well. And we will not let this subsidy cast a shadow on our advocacy programs. We want people to understand that it's very important to eat a healthy life. What we eat, it's basically a lifestyle. And so I'm told that we have another young doctor returning from New Zealand later this year. It's another achievement for Fiji, who will be our next nephrologist. And it's just my wish and prayer that when I reach 60 years old, I see nephrologists everywhere. Because that's going to be a need for that's going to be a need for us. That's why I'm saying that. That's going to be a need. Okay? So if you really look at where we are heading, unless a miracle happens, and we are able to change mindsets of our people and get them towards more healthy, drive a more healthy, sort of healthy living population, we will need these people like GPs. We will need them, right? But let's hope and pray that the work that we do is brought to fruition later in the decades, and we don't need them. So again, your theme for safe dialysis, very important as well. You can't just have dialysis, like I said, you need safe dialysis, complete dialysis. Like we talked about consumables and stuff, being up to that quality. So it makes it safe. And we will of course need competency and skills within the workforce to ensure that we are able to deliver safe dialysis to those people who come to access our services. And and one of the things that I always tell medical professionals to nurture is a sense of compassion. you cannot be part of this health sector without that compassion. It has to be there. Sometimes I have concerns that families raised with me, oh, I had a rude nurse looking after me, I had a rude doctor looking at me. The doctor didn't even pay attention to me, didn't even see me properly, just scribbled something. And those are some realities, but on the other hand, we must congratulate and commend ourselves for the very numerous good work that goes behind the scenes and unnoticed. There's a lot of work that our medical professionals do in the hospitals, out of the hospitals, but they go unnoticed. So if something doesn't go right your way, you'll obviously raise a fuss, and sometimes it casts a slur on all the good work that people do. But please allow me to thank you for all the good work that you do, and I hope and pray that you will continue to do that in service of our nations. And again, I talked about behavioral change. There needs to be a behavioral change across all sections of our community. Everybody, parents, teachers, doctors, talk about anybody to everybody. Because basically this advocacy and education, I think, should start within the home. We have a lot of health promotion going on regarding saving our souls, SOS, from salt, oil and sugar. So whether you say save our souls, we're not taking us to hell, just take us to heaven. Or let's save ourselves from excess salt, oil and sugar. Again, behavioral change. We Fijians love our food. We Fijians love to eat. And when I say love to eat, maybe during lunch and tea break, you'll see how we love to eat. Eh? So, eating healthy, no two ways about it. You all can go, but excessive eating, junk eating, fatty foods, I think these, you all know, these are contributors to all these activities that we have. And so, let's all be role models. You don't have a bad habit since I became the Minister of Health. I watch what people eat. And it's a very bad habit, especially when you go to symposiums and conferences and there's a big buffet. And we just stand and watch even what doctors and nurses pick up, or whoever, people from the medical profession pick up. Like I said, we love to eat. But then, like, if you're healthy, all good. But if you know there are certain restrictions that you need to practice in your diet, self-discipline needs to come in. That's, again, very important. So I would like you to be healthy first, before we can be agents and advocates for good health. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave the rest of the discussions with you experts, okay, professionals. And I don't come from the medical field, but sometimes I feel I've learned a lot. It's very important. Learning as you go along and putting it into practice as we go along. So all those who have traveled from abroad, I wish you happy stay here. Enjoy Fijian hospitality. The weather is pretty good. Take a dip in our sea, eat good. If you do eat excess, burn it off before you go. Okay? So thank you very much. Have a safe journey back home, and God bless you all.